on the hymn sheet, glory to his name. Let's stand together. Okay, so today is Memorial Day. I've got a special slideshow for you guys. And while this is warming up, let's see how good you can. Let's have you turn to Matthew 20:20. So Matthew 20:20. Okay, so usually it's a tradition here on when I speak of Memorial Day, I'm going to talk about someone who, Memorial Day in America means we're supposed to remember those who gave up their lives during the wars so that we have freedom. During Memorial Day, what I speak on is those Christians who gave up their lives so we can have the salvation of Jesus Christ. Okay? And while we're waiting for you to turn to 2020, let's see if I have 2020. Okay. So let me just mention, first of all, for those who are praying, math camp will be coming up, and we want you guys to pray for 20 in math camp, and right now we have 19, so we need one more. Okay, so let's pray that we get our 20. And really, here's where math camp starts. It starts June the 7th. So it's this week, June the 7th. That's next week. So we got one more week to hit that 20. So let's pray for that. And before I go into Matthew 20:20, does anyone know where I went last week? Does anyone remember what country I went to last week? I guess people in Mandarin and 1 and 2 didn't listen to them. Where did I go? Ed or Eddie? Does anyone know where in Africa? Yeah, I went to Madagascar. So let's look at the first slide. Does anyone recognize? Just turn up the light. I'm going to ask you what animal you think this is, and you know what? This is a good test. Testing where you test the first one and you see how much light still comes through. Okay. Now can you see better? Okay, so I'm going to ask people in the front row whether they know what animal this is. Again, she's Anna. Anna, you know what animal this is? Wow, she got it. Yeah, I was expecting someone to say a monkey. Yeah, I saw monkeys, but I saw 7 different species of wild lemur, and I saw 11 species of chameleons, 8 new species of birds, and lots of reptiles, like snakes, lizards, geckos, things like that. Okay, so let's turn back on the line so we can do the Bible. So if you want to see more lemurs later, I can show you. San Francisco has lemurs too. Now, this particular lemur is called a sivaka. Okay, and the way you can identify it is, it looks like it's wearing a hood over its head, right? A white hood, kind of cute. So all the seed pockets look like that. I am now a lemur expert, in case you guys wanted to know. Before, all lemurs look alike. Now they all look alike. So I was going to show you another seed pocket, but we're not here for that. And why I think about seed pockets? Because the native people there, they when the animal makes a call, it sounds like the word seed pocket. And I actually had a chance to read the Bible over there. Although all three countries I went to speak French, Madagascar, Reunion, and Mauritius. People in Madagascar have their own language. It's called Malagasy. And I looked at the Malagasy Bible, and their name for Jesus Christ is very similar to French. Okay? In French, it's Jesus Christ. In Malagasy, it is Jesusi Christi. Okay, so I can now read at least. What I try to do when I go to a different country is I try to learn. Can you put that away, Matt? You can play with your screen when you get home, okay? So when I get to other countries, I try to learn the name of Jesus in every language. Okay? So let's read Matthew 20:20. Reads as follows. Then came to him the mother of 70 chosen with her sons, worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. And Jesus said unto her, What wilt thou? And she said unto him, Grant that these two my sons may sit, one of them on the right hand and one of them on thy left hand in thy kingdom. And verse 22. But Jesus answered and said, Ye know not what ye ask. Are ye able to drink of the cup that I drink of, and be baptized with the baptism that I baptize you with? They say unto him, We are able. And he said unto them, Ye shall drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with my baptism that I am baptized with. But only on my right hand or my left, that is not for me to give, but I shall be given to them for whom it is prepared for my Father. Verse 24. Verse 24 is, Then when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the two brethren. Okay. So, this is what happened. Out of the 12 disciples, there was 2 of them. One was named John, one was named James. They were brothers. And the mother of the two, Willie, can you turn off the heater? And the mother of the two said, Hey, you know what? When we get into heaven, can you have one of my son John sitting on the right hand, one of my son James sitting on the left hand? And Jesus says, that's not the way it works. The way it works is, I don't control that. Number 2, if you really want to know what's going to happen, the one that suffers the most will probably be sitting next to me. And then the mom backs up saying, Hey, wait a second, I don't want my son to suffer either. So there goes that good idea. And verse 24, they were all jealous against one another. But you know what? When you have to die for your cause, there is no jealousy at the end. So today I will be speaking on the 12 disciples and what happened to them later on in life. And this just need to go down so I can see. I guess so, right? Let me unload my camera. And I need one more amen to help me here. Hey, how about him? He looks like an amen. Yeah, take off this Bible to make it lighter. And we're going to take off the chocolates here. Okay, ready? Then we go down 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you. Okay, now can everyone here see the lemurs? Okay, so let's say, how many lemurs are in that picture? 2? Okay, I guess you can see it. So, okay, so we're going to go through the slideshow, and during the Bible, we see the day God 12 disciples, right? And so we're going to see what happens to the disciples. So let's have you turn off the lights and look at the first one. Okay, the first one is, his name is Stephen, and I will ask Nathan right here. Nathan, is Stephen one of the 12 disciples? No, he isn't. He's not in the 52 down street. Okay. So, So I have a map of the world. We'll constantly go back to it to see where the disciples went. So the first slide is Stephen. He's not one of the 12 disciples, but he was the first one to be killed. And he was preaching, and they started stoning him. And notice when they throw stones, some of them are awfully big. But you may not notice the guy in the back. You know, when Willie does his slides, it's always like, who's the guy in the back? Who's this guy riding the horse? Or who is that guy riding the horse? So the reason I mention that is the person who wanted Stephen stoned for preaching the gospel was Paul. Okay? Back then, Paul was one of the bad guys. And my question for everyone in the audience, especially the adults, is which one do you think is Paul? And Willie and I stared at this, and we said, well, the two riding the horse has got to be one of them, right? This is the horse, this is the horse. Does anyone else see Paul in the picture? Okay, so we had to decide whether it was the young guy or the old guy. So we decided to go with the young guy. Okay. Of course, at the time, Paul wanted Stephen to be killed. And later on, Paul really regretted that this happened, but it's too late. So he's the first one martyred, was stoned in Jerusalem. I know no one here will be stoned for their faith, but he was stoned so we can get saved. Let's go to the next one. Okay, the next one is, these pictures are not accurate. Back then, they didn't have real cameras. So when they were painting, they just made up what these guys look like, but we thought we'd show you something instead of a blank anyway. Okay, so the next guy is James. He's the brother of John. He's one of the two that the mother asked, can you sit on the right hand or left hand side? And the first question is, for the people in the back, who was the first apostle to be killed? Okay, and of course, even I wouldn't know who was the first apostle to be killed, but it happened to be James. It's kind of ironic. The mother of James says, hey, you know what? Did James or John sit on the right or left hand side? Jesus is not for me to get. Isn't that ironic that he is the first one killed? And he was killed by Herod III, and he was placed in the jail. And he got the jailer saved, so they cut off the head of James. And after that, they cut off the head of whom? The jailer. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So I will quiz you people in the front on whether these are apostles of one of the 12 disciples. And I see Chris is sitting there. Chris, you see one of the 12 disciples? Yeah, he is. 52,000, right? He falls under the two P's. Philip. So Philip, one of the 12 disciples, he brought the gospel to this area that you may not know, called Samaria, which is today pretty close to your Bethlehem area. And eventually he brought the gospel to Hierapolis, which you may not know is in Turkey. So let's look at the map. And we're going to have some high schooler show me on the map where is Turkey. Okay? And the high schoolers can't do it, make a call. Okay. So Shimon, you didn't get your chance. Come up here and show everybody what high school you go to. Washington. Oh, right, my brother back there. Show everybody where Turkey is. Well, you have to walk up here first. And do we have a laser pointer here? So really, you leave the laser pointers in that other box. Okay, well, since I picked you because you were the tallest one, hey, please come up here. We can't get the laser pointer ready, but please point to where he died. He died in Turkey. If you know where Turkey is, just point to anything and we see if you're close.
Just like,
Oh yeah, you actually got it. So for those of you who don't know what Turkey looks like, it looks like a rhinoceros. See the nose here, the rhino? Okay, very good. So you can't find Lily? No. See, let's look at it's working here. Oh, can you turn on the lights there? It's so dark. Oh, you use the cell phone? Not there, not there. Oh, there it is. You know, it's black, it's so dark here, and why is it sticky? And it's sticky. Ah, yeah, it's sticky. Okay, we're not gonna use that. And I think the electricity didn't work. Yeah, like on my pants here. So, yeah, he brought it to Hierapolis, and that's actually near the book of Revelation where it's written. The 12, the 7 churches of the book of Revelation. And how did he die? The way he died was, will you have a pointer? Oh, is this witness? Kevin, a pointer.
I was just teaching today, so.
Oh, yeah, you were teaching today, I forgot. People should buy, you know, they should put on iPhones pointers. What's wrong with Apple? So, the next one is, how did he die? They whipped him almost to death and then they crucified him. They said, look, you're a disciple of Jesus, you need to suffer like Jesus. You know, after a while, maybe I don't want to sit next to Jesus at the throne at the end. So that was Philip. Well, yeah, they all looked like the painting. So he died like Jesus. He was whipped and he was crucified. Okay, so the next one is Matthew. Okay, and we'll pick somebody in the audience that could be in the Bible Olympics. Hey, let's pick Ed. Or no, actually, I'll pick Samantha. Was Matthew one of the 12 disciples? Very good. I'm so proud of you guys. Okay, so Matthew was one of the 12 disciples, and he also wrote the book, the Gospel of Matthew, and he went to preach the gospel to Ethiopia. So I'm going to pick a high schooler that represents their school, and then he can point out where Ethiopia is. Okay, Chris. Doesn't matter. Okay, Chris, go show you. What high school? He goes to Lincoln. Okay, so let's see if he knows where Ethiopia is. Oh, okay. Not bad, it's in Africa. So, he walked the second part of this is of preaching the gospel. Okay, so he walked from Israel into Egypt, into Sudan, into Ethiopia. Now you know where it is. Ethiopia is the only country back then that has been never dominated by another European power, has always been a Christian kingdom for all this time. And we give that credit to whom? We give credit to that, huh? Chris? And instead the answer. Okay. So Matt, you know everything about your friend Matt, okay? So how did he die? Okay, he's pinned to the ground and they chopped off his head. Okay. So that wasn't very fun. The next one is James. Okay, so what should I ask? Oh, yeah, I'll ask. Okay, this fellow, is James one of the 12 disciples? Yes. He is. Pretty good. You guys really got it. He's one of the 12 disciples, and he most likely was the writer of the book of James and the brother of Jesus. He was the pastor in Jerusalem, and the next question, how did he die? Well, this is kind of, I guess it is in Jerusalem, how did Stephen die? Do you remember, is it about when Stephen died? What? You remember the picture? Okay, who said you guys know? Yeah, they put the giant stone on. He got stoned. So how do you think they killed people in Jerusalem? He got what? Stone also. Okay, very good. There's a pattern here. The next one is Andrew. Okay, so did you do one of the Bible Olympics? Nathan? Okay. Andrew, is Andrew one of the 12 disciples? He is? Yeah, he is. You know, what's really funny is during the quiz in junior church, I asked, who wants to name one of the 12 disciples? And Andrew raised his hand. This is Andrew Lauer, and he said, Andrew. So, yeah, it's easier to remember the one named after yourself. So, he brought the gospel to Iraq, and the Ukrainians really believe that he brought the gospel to Kiev. So when I went to Kiev, I had to look at the cathedral named after Andrew, and I'm going to name one other thing about Andrew. There's something called the Cross of Andrew. Okay? So if you look at the British flag, there are two crosses. One that goes like this, and one that looks like an X. The X is called the Cross of Andrew. Okay? So how did Andrew die? They crucified him. How did they crucify him? They didn't crucify him in the form of a T. They crucified him in the form of an S. That's why it's called Cross of Andrew. So every time you look at the British flag, you get impressed by somebody by saying, "Oh yeah, I see the Cross of Andrew there." The other cross is the Cross of George, whoever he is. Okay, so this is Andrew, and he brought the gospel to Iraq and Ukraine. So I'm going to pick someone in the audience. One gets to the point where Iraq is, and one gets to the point to Ukraine. You know, we hear about Ukraine all the time. Ethan, do you know where Ukraine or Iraq is? Okay, good. Who is the pointer? Chris, you were the last one. You got it. So this is your dash line. You know how to use it. Which one do you want to point out? Ukraine or Iraq? Okay, so he thinks he knows where Ukraine is. Where is it? That's not bad. Like that. So he pointed at this side. Okay, so Ukraine is right there. Okay, and who else wants to do pointing? Okay, you get to the point where Iraq is. That's it. You actually got it. So, in order for him to do this, he has to walk from here to Iraq. Not that far, right? And then he has to walk all the way to Ukraine. Well, the Ukrainians believe it. So, you know, believe it or not, I actually pray for the Ukrainians every week, almost every day, that God will protect them from the Russians, and that also God will remove Putin. Okay, so if you guys want to seriously pray for a country that needs help, I always do that. You might want to do it also. If Christians can't pray, who can? So that was Andrew. The next one is Mark. Okay, so the next one is Mark, one of the 12 disciples. Now, I'm going to ask a real high schooler now. Okay, so Ethan goes to Soda, right? Okay, you see, no, I'm not going to pick you. Okay. Do you go to Balboa? Burton. Okay, is Mark one of the 12 disciples? You got it. It's not one of the 12 disciples. He is an apostle, and he worked with Paul, and then he worked with his uncle Barnabas, and he brought the gospel to Egypt. Okay, he was a big pastor in Alexandria, and I have to be someone in the audience to point out where Egypt is. Let's see. So, does anyone want to volunteer to know where Egypt? Does anyone know where Egypt is? Did you already point earlier? Okay, good, your brother is too. Wow, you got it. What's wrong with your school? Okay, you go to what school? AP. What's wrong with your school? You actually know where this Egypt is? Okay, so he brought the gospel to Egypt, so he had to walk all the way. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, so he had to walk all the way from here to there. Okay. That's not impressive, but do you know that if you go to Egypt today, Egypt used to be all Christian. Today it's 10% because the Muslims came in there and killed all the Christians. They basically said, look, you either worship Mohammed and Allah or die. 10% said we are willing to die. That's why 10% are still Christian today. When Melvin went to Egypt, he said, one of the first things I want to do is I'm going to go to the Coptic Christians. I want to see the Coptic Christians. These are the ones who are willing to die. Okay, so if you ever get a chance to go to Egypt, you can see the pyramids and things like I did, but I haven't had time to see Coptic Christians. Okay. But I have patients who are Coptic Christians that talk about it all the time. How did Mark die? They tied him to a horse and they dragged him until he died. Okay. So, great man, Mark. A lot of people would say that Mark is a quitter because during the book of Acts, he quit. It's like, he didn't quit here. Okay? He did more than what you guys are going to do. Next one is Peter. So, this is a really hard one. Okay, someone in the audience and see if they know whether Peter is one of the 12 disciples and who should I pick today? Okay, I'm glad you raised your hand for us. You see one of the 12 disciples? Yes, he is. Thank you. So, Peter is one of the 12 disciples. He wrote the epistle of Peter, and he was arrested, brought to Rome, and when I went to Rome, he was in prison where he was killed. And I know Fanny was there. Fanny, you went to Rome, right?
Once.
And you went to that forum area. Did you get a chance to visit the prison, the Mamertine prison? Okay. It's really close to that church. So if you go to Rome, you get a chance, visit the prison where Peter was killed. And how was he killed? They crucified him. But he said, I'm not worthy to be crucified like Jesus. You can crucify me upside down. Okay, so that's how he died. Next one. Paul. So, I'm going to ask someone whether Paul was one of the original 12 disciples. So, Eric, you see one of the 12 disciples? You got it correct. Yeah, Paul is not one of the 12 disciples. He was one that persecuted. Can you remember who he persecuted? The first guy, right? Stephen. Okay. So if you can't remember that, just remember step 3. Remember Stephen. Okay. So instead of a ball, it was a rock, right? So Paul was the one who wrote all those epistles like Romans, Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Thessalonians. It goes on. Timothy, Titus, Philemon. And he preached the gospel to 3 main areas, to Turkey, to Greece, and to Rome. So if somebody's smart, we can point out all 3, Turkey, Greece, and Rome. If you do it, if you do all 3, okay, we're not pick someone else. You do all 3? Okay, why not? Okay, Turkey, Greece, and Rome. Okay, are you Ed or Eddie? Okay, remember Eddie's the smarter one, okay? And Ed is the good-looking one. Okay, which one is Turkey? Okay, which one's Greece? And which is Rome? Very good. Okay, I think in the Bible Olympics, did you get more points than you're coming? Okay, so those three, and for those of you who don't know how to recognize it, turkey looks like the rhino again. Here's the eye, here's the nose, right? And the mouth. And Italy looks like a shoe or boot kicking this ball here. Okay, it's rock. So Paul was arrested. He was thrown into the same prison as Peter, the Mamertine prison, if you ever get a chance to go there. And before you go to Rome, if any of you guys have been to Rome, talk to me and I'll tell you how to find it. Okay. I had a problem finding it. And because someone actually went in, okay, Ben and Jake actually went in after I talked to them. And he was not crucified. They cut off his head. Okay. The next one is Thomas. So Thomas walked the farthest out of all the disciples in bringing the gospel. And does anyone know what country he ended up bringing the gospel to? Okay. So yeah, I know it's there. That's why I was testing to see if you guys know how to read. So he walked the farthest. He walked all the way to India. Now, a lot of people criticize Thomas for being doubting. He said, I doubt Jesus is resurrected. And so I feel the holes in his hand and in his side. And finally, Jesus says, oh, Jesus shows up the next day. Hey, Thomas, here's my hands. You want to feel it now? And Thomas says, no, I don't want to feel it anymore. I made a mistake. But you know what? He was so fervent, he went the farthest, so this doesn't matter. So, oh yeah, did I ask Willie the question whether he was one of the 12 disciples? Well, it's kind of ruined it because I talked about that. But so who was the one that brought it from here to there, Chris? You were the one that had to point this out, right? You want from here. Okay, Chris, who brought the gospel here? Mark. Okay. Who's the one that brought the gospel here? And I'm going to ask, hey Matt, who's the one that brought the gospel here? Matthew, do you remember? He's named after you. So, Matthew, you can never forget the guy that you're named after. Okay, so Matthew brought the gospel all the way from here to Egypt to Sudan to Ethiopia. So I'm just going to remember this forever. You know, if I was named after somebody, I kind of remember what name he did, but there's no cool guy that's anything I can remember. So this one brought it even farther. He brought it all the way to India. So you want to come to India? Okay, thanks. And he thinks he knows where India is. And if he gets it wrong, I can't wait to say it. Okay, you got it right. And he went to the southern tip of India down here. So if you go to India today, you can still see where they buried your good friend Thomas. Is anyone named Tom here? So how was Thomas killed? They speared him, and after they speared him, they burnt him in the oven. That didn't sound fun at all. Okay. The next one is Luke. And, well, that's Brendan. You know, Brendan won the Bible Olympics. So, Brendan is Luke, one of the 12 disciples. You got it right. Not one of the 12 disciples. He was the doctor that walked with Paul preaching the gospel. Okay, so here we go. He brought the gospel. He was from the city of Troy. Remember the Trojan War, right? From the city of Troy. He wrote the book of Luke, wrote the book of Acts. And in Athens, they finally caught him and they hung him from all of them. So, next one. I got just my last one, we're done. John. Okay? And I got that one in the audience. It says, got it. Okay, guys, Caitlin, is he one of the 12 disciples? Wow, you got it. Yes, he is. He's the brother of James, the one that had the mother saying, hey, can you do something like put him on the right seat? Well, the good news is he never died, okay, as a martyr. But I don't think that's good because God needed him. So he helped preach the gospel to Turkey, and finally they arrested him, and they threw him in a pot of boiling oil, okay? And he survived. So I don't think that's such a good thing either. And he was thrown into prison on this island called Patmos. So when I had a chance to go to Greece, I went to that island, and I found where he was in prison, took a picture, and he died a natural death. He lived the longest, so God wanted him to live to write the book of Revelation. So we got one more picture, and then we're done. And I will ask you, what is this picture? So, Madison, do you know what this picture is?
It's black.
Yeah, that's very good. So, of course, we don't know who's whom, because whoever painted this, is it Leonardo da Vinci or some other famous Italian guy? Okay. Anyway, this is what Willie would do when he does his slideshow. He'd say, which one is Jesus? Okay, so I'm going to give you the pointer, and go ahead. Point it the one that you think is Jesus. Okay, you got it. So I can only make other guesses. This is John, and maybe that's Peter, and where's Judas? Judas is about to leave. Judas should be holding some money. He's a bad person. Anyway, I know that there were 12 disciples. And in this picture, are there 12? Yeah. Okay, there's 12. So I'm going to just end off with this. This is Memorial Day. Christians ought to remember what other Christians did to bring the gospel to us. And we need to remember that they sacrificed their life to bring the gospel to us. We need to do the best we can to bring the gospel to the next generation. We're just a part of this big line of martyrs. And next time when I speak, there'll be a different set of martyrs that are really famous that you will know later. Some of you guys might have their names. So this is about what we're prepared. Dear God, we want to thank you these people died for us so they can bring the gospel. And we also have that responsibility that we need to do what we can to bring the gospel to the next generation. We want to thank you for these heroes that are inspiring to us. Hopefully we can be as good as they are. Thank you, Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, the last song is I think number 5, right? You can bring okay, some of you had to memorize, so. In by power of the blood, first stanza. Would you be free from the burden of sin? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Would you believe more victory win? There's wonderful power in the blood. There's power, wonder-working power in the blood. There's power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb.
All right, so reminder, Math Camp is starting in about a week and a half. Just identify you're ready. Just math for Math Camp is free for those of you who come regularly to church and this group. It's going to be right here. We'll learn math. We'll get a lot of people saved, so it's great. for our mass camp. All right, so let's go for sure. Father, thank you for this, time that we can celebrate Memorial Day and all the apostles, disciples who came before us, and they have left a legacy for us to follow. And help us always to honor and glorify you and all the leaders. We thank you in Jesus' name, amen. All right, so the high schoolers stay for the witnessing practice, come up to the front. Chinese food,